240 inmates are still missing after a huge jailbreak at a Nigerian prison. Gunmen blasted through the fence around the facility in Kogi State in the center of the country on Sunday. About 50 prisoners stayed put, but security forces are still trying to round up the hundreds others who made a break for it. It's the second mass breakout Nigeria has seen this year.
The UN Secretary-General came to Geneva with the aim of getting the international community to provide at least $606 million to help Afghanistan before the end of the year. At a news conference, the Secretary-General said he was pleased by the international response to his flash appeal, but he said there were still real risks ahead. The UN says during the meeting it received pledges totaling more than $1 billion. However, almost certainly not all of that is new money, and some of the funds are being directed not just at Afghanistan, but to the wider region.
Russian President Vladimir Putin oversaw vast joint military exercises with Belarus ahead of his country's parliamentary elections later this week. The Zapad 2021 live-wire exercises will run until Thursday at numerous sites in Russia and Belarus. The drills involve 200,000 personnel as well as 80 planes and helicopters and nearly 300 tanks. Putin has said that the drills are not directed against any foreign country and has called them a necessary response to increased NATO activity near Russia's borders. The exercises are held every 4 years, but this year's drill has been seen as a signal of Russia's support for Belarus and its leader, Lukashenko, who has been lambasted by the West for cracking down on dissent.
Rushing to get home between the Hebrew New Year and the Sabbath, thousands of Israelis returning to the country from abroad before Friday night, but a disturbing trend taking shape among those returning from Ukraine. The health ministry reporting that of the 17,000 Israelis that returned directly from Uman, 1,400 tested positive for coronavirus. And this in addition to the 1,000 or so other infections caught by PCR tests at the airport, out of about 10,000 other travelers, some of whom also came from Uman but via connecting flights. In fact, upwards of 14% of the 25,000 Israelis who were tested after traveling to Uman tested positive for COVID-19. Most of them unvaccinated.
It's the first official visit of an Israeli leader in more than a decade, and it comes only a few weeks after Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi extended the invitation to Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. It also comes at a time when relations between the two countries have reached unprecedented levels since the peace agreement between Egypt and Israel was signed in 1979. Security cooperation is the bedrock of the relationship between the two countries. And since Sisi came to power 8 years ago, intelligence and military ties have grown stronger. Israel agreeing that Egyptian forces in breach of the Camp David Accord entered the demilitarized zone in the Sinai Peninsula to fight ISIL. And then there's Gaza, prime concern for both countries.
The first trial in the U.S. college admission scandal began in Boston on Monday. Former casino executive Gamal Aziz and private equity firm founder John Wilson are accused of paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to secure spots for their children at the University of Southern California as phony athletic recruits. Get out of the way. The two men were charged 2.5 years ago, along with dozens of business executives and celebrities, in what has been dubbed Operation Varsity Blues, a fraud and bribery scheme allegedly masterminded by California college admissions consultant William Rick Singer to help wealthy clients get their kids into top colleges.
A cat survives a dramatic fall from an upper deck of Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens thanks to fans with an American flag. Watch this.
The flag is closed and it's the cat. Oh my goodness, a cat.
And the crowd goes wild.
Dozens of climbers, 25,000 square meters of recyclable cloth and 3 kilometers of red rope. One of Paris's most recognizable monuments, the Arc de Triomphe, is being transformed into a shimmering artwork. The creation of Bulgarian artist Christo, who first imagined wrapping the Napoleon-era arch 60 years ago, but died last year before seeing his dream become reality. Christo was born in Bulgaria in 1935. As a young man, he fled communist rule for Paris, where he met Jeanne-Claude, his wife, an artistic collaborator, until her death in 2009. The couple wrapped dozens of buildings, monuments, and even islands.
Nigeria is seeing one of its worst cholera outbreaks in years, with more than 2,300 people dying from suspected cases. Nearly 70,000 suspected cholera infections had been recorded as of September 5th in 25 out of the country's 36 states and the capital Abuja, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Cholera is endemic and seasonal in Africa's most populous country, where only 14% of the 200 million population have access to safe drinking water. Children between the ages of 5 and 14 have been the most affected in the outbreak.